Today we're cutting through the noise and looking at what North Carolina law actually says. First, the claims on the table: defamation, invasion of privacy, and the DV report. Then a key case, Hall vs. Salisbury Post, which holds that truthful public disclosure of private facts isn't a tort in NC. We'll map which privacy torts NC recognizes, and what it doesn't. And we'll land on the big point: embarrassing not equal to private when it's public record.
The C&Ds were the invasion of privacy and domestic violence report, right? So in addition to defamation, those are kind of the three big things: the defamation, invasion of privacy, and the domestic violence report, right? So I wanted to go over some of the things that I found about those three topics, specifically as it pertains to North Carolina. Because one of the things that I thought was interesting from the day that Clue got this, North Carolina law recognizes public disclosure of private facts and intrusion upon seclusion as actionable torts. I thought that was really interesting, right? I kind of like reading about legal stuff because, I don't know, it's just interesting to learn something that the majority of the world, including myself, feels like is kind of intimidating, right? But again, you can Google and learn a whole lot. Let's see. It says, by engaging in this conduct, you have violated Miss Jackson's privacy rights and caused additional emotional and reputational harm. So we're going to go through a little bit of what that looks like in North Carolina court, since that's what is specified here, right, about North Carolina law. I'm not an attorney. I'm just Googling shit. Do your own research, form your own opinions. This is just, so North Carolina, what the hell was it called? Hold on. North Carolina public disclosure of private facts, right? So there's a case of Hall versus the Salisbury Post, detailing, let's see here. So Mary Hall filed civil actions against defendants for invasion of privacy, right? These actions were based on 2 articles published in the Salisbury Post. I'm not going to go through reading all of this, but what I thought was interesting were some of the key points, right? The main issue was whether the tort of invasion of privacy by truthful, and truthful being the key word, right? The public disclosure of private facts was cognizable under North Carolina law. The Supreme Court of North Carolina held that claims for invasion of privacy by truthful public disclosure of private facts were not recognized under North Carolina law. So based on what Granny's attorney had put in that response, or in that declaratory judgment motion, however you say it, it seems like he may have known what he's talking about, right? Their reasoning, the Supreme Court of North Carolina reasoned that recognizing the tort of invasion of privacy by truthful public disclosure of private facts would overlap with other torts, such as intentional infliction of emotional distress, and raise constitutional concerns due to its conflict with the First Amendment rights of free speech and press. The court noted that the constitutional right of privacy as protected from governmental intrusion was not at stake in this case, and therefore the First Amendment rights of speech and press controlled the outcome. So yeah, we have a constitution, and the key thing there again being truthful public disclosure of private facts, right? So this is, again, North Carolina Press Association's Media Law Handbook, and I will put the links to all of this in the description after this is over. So if y'all want to go read it, you can. Invasion of privacy. In the United States, journalists are subject to being sued for 4 types of claims, which, although legally distinct, commonly are grouped under the term invasion of privacy. They are the unauthorized appropriation of a person's name or likeness for commercial purposes. I don't think anybody's used her name as a business or anything like that, or any commercial purpose. You know what I mean? People don't tag her.
I don't even tag her, so no.
Yeah, okay. Intrusion into a person's solitude. Now, from what I didn't pull that up on here, but from what I gather, right, intrusion of a person's solitude is kind of a situation where you go spying in their house, right? You put trail cams in their yard, right? You're intruding in their solitude. The publication of truthful but embarrassing private facts about a person. Now that one I thought was interesting. Truthful but private facts. Trisha Talks, thank you for the super chat. Thank you for explaining the USA laws for us Brits.
Oh, it is like so different over there too, right?
Yeah. Well, and keep in mind, right, I wouldn't consider this an explanation. This is my interpretation of what I've found. Form your own opinion, do your own research. But the publication of truthful but embarrassing private facts about a person. So this one got me for a minute because I'm like, embarrassing, right? I could see it being an embarrassing thing. I can absolutely understand somebody being embarrassed by that being shown. I can understand somebody being upset, offended, all that. But what I don't understand is, again, somebody considering that to be a private thing when it's public record. Right. And they themselves have a habit of talking about public record. Right. And displaying things that are public record. Right. I don't know how the fuck you set a double standard for the world versus what you set for yourself and what you're willing to do.
Well, especially when she would have absolutely no problem showing the same type of report for someone that she's discussing.
Right. I mean, I think you could say it's, in bad taste. You can argue all this shit, but at the end of the day, you can't argue what's private versus what's public, right? Nobody broke into her house and stole this fucking report that only she had, right?
Here's the takeaway. In North Carolina, you generally can't sue just because truthful, public information makes you uncomfortable. Defamation needs a false statement and provable harm. Opinions and public records usually don't qualify. For privacy, NC recognizes some claims, but truthful public disclosure of private facts isn't one under Hall versus Salisbury Post star. So public record not equal to privacy violation.